All set. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this year's third planning committee meeting. Today's Wednesday, April 1st, 2026, and we're starting promptly at 9:30 in the morning. As a reminder, all those in attendance and in person or participating online, we are broadcast live, recorded, and made available to everyone on the CRTC YouTube channel. If everybody knows, today is officially my first day as chair of the planning committee. I attended my first meeting in 2012 on behalf of the city of Schenectady, so I've been around the table for a long time, sitting around, and I see people that were on the table and back of the table and people that were on the table, not at the table, and so we're all over the place, but I'm glad to be here in this role. And I just wanted to point out, one of the things was Sandy and I met prior to the meeting, and we just wanted to say is like, whenever we have a change or any kind of new chair, we're trying to encourage everybody, if you have any ideas on how to participate, make the meetings more interactive, more valuable to the municipalities or anything, just to reach out to myself or Sandy, because this is, I've really enjoyed this meeting for the past 12 years, and I think it's a valuable thing, and anything that we can do to move it forward and progress, I think that would be great. So I'd love to hear from anybody, is new, old, on the experiences that's in person, online. Anybody wants to email me, I'm pretty easy to find. Now, as we do every meeting, we'll go around the room and introduce ourselves and who we're representing. Once again, Chris Wallen, chair of the committee representing the city of Schenectady.
Greg Richard, Region 1 DOT.
Dave Monteverde, Albany County Airport Authority.
Tom Houlihan, City of Rensselaer.
Michael Baudet, Thruway Authority.
Kim Lambert, Sarasota County.
Peter Clemens with Town of Auburn.
Sherry Kern, Region 1 DOT.
Mike Dutry, City of Saratoga Springs.
Rob Leslie, Town of Bethlehem.
Mark Castiglione, Regional Planning Commission.
Lisa Raimondo, Albany County.
Peter Kingston, Schenectady County.
John Schneiderman, Port of Albany.
Sandy Miswitz, Capital Region Transportation Council.
Michael Toller, City of Saratoga Springs. Good morning, Andrew Tracy, Transportation Council.
Ethan Townsend, Transportation Council.
Adam Orville, Transportation Council.
Melissa Shanley, CDTA. Hannah Rizzo, Thompson Lake.
Back to that, Ward 2.
Ryan Riper, Director of Planning and Engineering for Town of Wilton.
Amanda Kinley with GPI here for the town of Rotterdam.
Randy Milano, Region 1 DOT.
Rick Pastrana, representing Town of Rotterdam.
Lorenzo Stefano, SCM Engineering.
All right.
And then listening virtually, we have Leah Rye from the Transportation Council, Chris Cook from New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Megan Daly from DePort, Ed Snyder from GPI, Eliza, Orlando Malbauer from Capital Roots, Floria Huzinga from Town of Malta, Lana Headley Kroll. I'm not sure your affiliation, so you could put that in the
CHA.
chat. Oh, thank you, CHA. Appreciate that. Sorry, I'm just bouncing around. Nicole McGrath from Federal Highway Administration, Jeff Pangburn from Scrape Manning, Weva Yang from CHA, Martin Hull from the Transportation Council, Melissa Cherubino from City Water Police, Mike Williams from CDTA, Rosa Torino from Albany County, Teresa LaSalle from the Transportation Council, Tim Lane from the Village of Manans, Tony Christian from Great Manning, Bill Trudeau from the City of Albany, Parker Morris from the Transportation Council, and if I missed anybody, please put it in the chat, but I think that's everybody. Thank you. Oh, one more. Robert came and went. That's okay, we can continue.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. Moving on to visitor issues, there is no one registered to speak today, so we'll move on to our presentation by Great Innovations in Bridge Preservation.
Yeah, actually, we're gonna have Sherry help present this. We identified basically a strategy for all the bridges around the interchange down at I-98, I-87, and really it's born out of necessity that these bridges are coming due and the traffic volumes present some challenges. I'll have Sherry take it over.
Just before she jumps in, I just wanted to note for those maybe listening in, we did have a change in the agenda. The original presentation was swapped out for this one, so go ahead. Sorry, Sherry.
Thank you, guys. My name is Sherry Kern. I am the acting regional structures engineer for DOT Region 1. So today I'm going to present on the I-87 I-90 interchange. We call it the Exit 1 corridor. Here, it's not too far away. I'm sure we're all familiar with it. Okay, and we're going to address rehabilitations of all the bridges here before. So an outline for today's presentation is we're gonna talk about objectives, the overview, proposed project one, proposed project two, anticipated cost and schedule, and then we can have discussion about the today. Alright, so the objectives for this corridor is to complete the necessary major rehabilitations to the bridges within the corridor. We want to minimize impacts of the traveling public. This is a very highly traveled interchange, and we don't want to see a lot of disruptions. We also want to provide a safe work area for construction staff. You know, because it is so heavily trafficked and sometimes at very high speeds, we want to make sure that we're doing long-term traffic shifts instead of a lot of short-term duration closures and moving of work traffic. There's the overview. All right, so we have quite a few bridges at this interchange. They were all built right around the same time, and they are all coming due for major rehabilitations at the exact same time as well. You know, 50 years is generally regarded as the lifespan for a concrete deck, and all of these bridges are going to be coming due within the next decade. You know, so this presentation is going to detail the phases that we're going to use to do this work without major traffic disruptions at the interchange while maintaining worker safety. All right, so first I'm just going to give an overview of each of the bridges within the interchange. All right, so we have these three bridges over Rensselaer Lake. But you know, this one right here, which I would call like the worst condition bridges of all of the ones in the interchange, it's built in 1987. It's pretty poor deck condition rating. 33111 was originally constructed in 1959, when had a major rehabilitation in 1987 that actually reduced the out with the bridge. You can see here, there's still the existing pier from the existing out to out. And then 33112 was the straight portion was originally constructed in the 50s. And then in the same contract, in the 1980s contract, they put in this curved section of the bridge that joined the bridge for the ramp. These two are in okay condition, but they're definitely going to be due for a major rehabilitation soon. And they could use some substructure and superstructure repairs as well. All right. Now these four bridges are past the highway designation. I believe this is 912 technically. So 511 and 512, they were constructed in the 1980s contract. And then 101 and 102 were originally constructed in 1959, and they went and had new decks put on in 1988. All of these are in okay condition. They definitely need some substructure repairs, bearing replacements, and these multi-span bridges here are good candidates for incorporating link slabs into the new bridge. Right, and then these two, which are farther down 912, 521 and 522, they were originally constructed in part of the 1980s contract, and they are in. This one's in better condition than this one. You can obviously see the potholes right there, but yeah, they're in the same boat as the rest of the bridges at the interchange. All right, and then we have these three curved ramp bridges within the interchange. This, they are all about the same condition rating. They definitely need a major rehabilitation. When these bridges are ready for their major rehabilitation, we can reduce them down to one traffic lane and do staged construction. So these three bridges, they can be contracted out individually as a group together with the three curved bridges, or incorporated into project one or project two that I'll get into later. But they're not part of the main line, this line, so we're not as worried about incorporating them to our work zone traffic control strategy here. All right, project one. So project one is really only going to address our worst case bridge here for the ramp on I-90, and this bridge here that used to be a wider out. And so So the plan is to actually widen this bridge back to its original out to out, utilizing rehabilitating the existing substructures in order to set us up for the second stage of this project and future projects to maintain work zone temperature control. As part of this project, I think we're all familiar with this ramp that got reduced to 1 lane to minimize truck rollover risk. I'll touch on that a little bit. It's something that can be or cannot be included in this project to restore 2 lanes of traffic to that on-ramp. All right, project 1, phase 1 is reconstructing the center bridge here to its original out to out. We have some different sections here, and in doing this, we would just shift traffic over, maintain 2 11-foot lanes with 1 shoulders. All right, project 1, stage 2, this would be completing the deck replacement on the other side of the center bridge and shifting traffic to the newly constructed side. You know, this kind of lays out the traffic control. We would still be able to maintain 11-foot lanes with 1-foot shoulders on the bridge. And the lane configuration would be similar to existing traffic patterns. Right, stage 3 of this project would be to 5 lanes of traffic onto the newly rehabilitated center bridge. And that way, this would allow the contractor to complete the bridge replacement on the ramp bridge without staging. And this would also allow for more work area to do the ramp reconstruction, if that gets decided to be put into this project. And doing that, we keep going. All right, this is the concept for the new on-ramp to reestablish 2 lanes to I-90 westbound. This is still conceptual, you know, we can definitely, you know, we would have to do a little bit of reconstruction on the bridge to make this a standard curve for 50 miles per hour. And we may need right away from the city of Albany to complete this portion to meet requirements for the 50 mile per hour curve. We're still looking into this, you know, we'll definitely have some to look at the merging requirements on I-90. All right, this is project number 2. So every bridge at this interchange has its individual needs. However, to minimize the need for multiple crossovers and prolonged construction, these rehabilitations are supposed to take place simultaneously under 1 contract or 2. I'll get into that later. So this would address 7 bridges, this one here, and then these 6 here. Right, so this is stage 1 of project 2. As you can see, we're utilizing the new out to out that we just established on the center bridge to convey both directions of traffic on the southbound line. You know, we will have to have crossovers here and here. And in doing so, we'll be able to maintain 11-foot lanes, maintain a similar traffic configuration, what we're used to. And the only control pinch point that we have is right here, where we'll have to do a 10 and 11-foot lane. This is the narrowest existing point on this main line. And sorry, back up to here. And then here we would, this one would be completed using stage construction. We would maintain the curb ramp and 1 lane of traffic for the on-ramp. And then these 3 bridges can be completed without staging. Project 2, stage 2, same traffic configuration, except we're going to be doing phase 2 of this bridge here and address the curb section and do a crossover for the on-ramp traffic. Okay. So project 2, stage 3 and 4 can go, this can all happen under 1 contract or it can be split into 2. So phase stage 1 and 2 and stage 2 and stage 3 and 4 could be separate projects if desired. So this one is addressing all of the southbound bridges or the 3 southbound bridges that we have not yet addressed. These will need to be done with stage construction And in order to accommodate the minimum lane requirements, this one would need to be widened just slightly, just under 2 feet. Right, and then this is stage 4, where we are now, completing the second stage of these 3 bridges. And this is the most constrictive, lane width with 2 10-foot lanes down here. This is due to staging requirements based on the beam layouts for the multi-span bridge and the narrowest point down here. All right, cost and schedule. So project number 1 is currently being scoped. With the construction start estimated for 2029. Our preliminary construction estimate is about 8.5. And then if we include the ramp reconstruction, about 9.9. Project 2, like I said before, can either be one contract or split into 2. And these are 5 to 10 year plans. Stages 1 and 2 could be completed in 2034, and stages 3 and 4 could be completed in 2039, or they could all be lumped together and done at the same time. The estimates for these are about 18 and 15 million respectively. And then the 3 curved bridges, like I said at the beginning of the presentation, they can be addressed individually, together, or included in projects 1 to 2.
How much longer is it gonna take me to get to work now?
Hopefully not, hopefully this strategy will have, very minimal impact to the traveling public. We're pretty much keeping the same lane configurations, but it is gonna be driving through a work zone. So there will be some learning curves, but these are long-term closures. So once set up, pretty straightforward. We're not gonna be going back and doing short-term closures and moving the configuration from week to week. It's gonna be in place for a little while.
Do you expect night and day work?
Sure, there'll be probably some night work involved.
There's always some, but it wouldn't be required, because these are all long-term.
You're not trying to avoid daytime disruption, it'll happen.
Yeah, maybe when they're setting up the new traffic configuration, they can do some night work. But for the most part, these are long-term configurations that they can work on these bridges during normal working hours.
This was born out of trying to preserve one of the bridges without the reconfiguration. The key is the widening the bridge that used to be wider. That allows us to truly stage this stuff for long-term construction, which lets us get a much better scoped project. And then one advantage is we're looking at, like Sherry was mentioning, that the ramp to the thruway is 1 lane, but that was striped to 1 lane to address a historical rollover issue. And if we can restore that, if we can modify the ramp to current standards, we could maybe restore 2 lanes of the thruway, which, as we all know, on some evenings is backed up, and certainly Sunday afternoons in the summer is really backed up. So we're evaluating how to restore the 2 lanes there and could mitigate some of that known congestion.
Sherry, I don't know if this is a you or Greg question. This is one of the more longer out projects that we've been presented on. Is that due to funding or design? Is this gonna be a TIP project? Is this going to be a state funded project? 2029 is a little ways out, and that's only phase 1 of multiple phases.
So we wanted to lay out an actual game plan for this whole infrastructure. This whole pile of infrastructure that is all very sensitive to any disruption. And then look at the lifespan of the assets and see when they all are needed. So the first one will probably come up in the next TIP update, the first project. And then the other 2 will just keep on the books to come to the TIP at the respective times that they're needed. Again, 2034, 2039 timeframe.
And some of the bridges that were proposed in project 2 are still in relatively good condition, but they're not gonna stay that way. So it's, to get ahead of it, to have a game plan for the corridor and that's project 1.
Can you go back to, I think it's slide 16 that shows the other bridges? Yeah, those two. That southernmost bridge on this plan, is there any thought of joining that with the other bridge?
So that's one of the three
Right.
growth bridges that I
Right.
mentioned.
Yep.
Yeah, so.
It just seems like an excessively long bridge compared to the one that you are replacing, that you could potentially just widen the bridge that you're replacing. And maybe have joined those two lanes, or those essentially 4 lanes together earlier and save yourself from having such a long span that you have to maintain.
So a lot of these curves and a lot of these ramps have differing super elevation requirements.
Right.
So, you know, this corridor, you know, originally was built in the 50s. They
Right.
came in and they added a bunch of more bridges in the 80s.
Mhm.
So it is kind of a haphazard design, but,
Right.
you know, all these bridges are, you know, we want to maintain them. We don't want to, you know, change the traffic patterns of the corridor.
Right.
Yet, you know, when everything comes through for bridge replacements, we can
Right.
look at that more.
Is that a multi-use path underneath those two bridges?
Yeah.
So what happens with that during construction?
You know, we'll install, you know, safety. I mean, these are just gonna be deck replacements, so we'll have our class A containment.
Do I say?
You know, maybe some short-term closures with trail, but because we're just proposing deck replacements, you know, or I guess for this one here, we are gonna be adding an additional steel beam, so it'll probably be closed during lifting operations, but.
So the 2-lane concept that you're proposing for exit 1 onto the thruway, it look like you're shortening the weave.
Yeah.
That's already a short weave.
It is, and that's where I said this was just a concept. We
Okay.
need to fully evaluate, and there are options for extending that acceleration lane farther. But that we would need to discuss with the throughway
Okay.
and make sure that we're doing something safe there. Yeah, and obviously, you know, we could lower the speed, come in closer, not push it all the way out into the city of Albany's property there. So there's lot to look at there, and that's why it could be added to the project or could not as we scope it out. We'll see.
Oh, I understand
Yeah,
why you would want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's, our concern would be it's already a short weave
Yeah.
and now you're shortening that.
Mhm.
It's gonna become worse.
yes, yeah.
Just,
Yeah, I'm just wondering, if when you're thinking about, going with 2 shifts, just to expedite the construction instead of just, one shift a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify, when you say our concern, does the thruway have involvement in?
This is the first I've seen it. Sure.
They
will.
I will, okay. The 90s, I'm just,
Yeah, I mean, there's technically, I forget where exactly the line is, but somewhere here the jurisdiction does switch.
It does.
Yeah.
I'm
That's what I
not
was confused.
exactly sure where it is, but I think it's right around where the old toll booths used to be.
Yeah, I think it's.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Section shift, so obviously if we wanted to extend the acceleration lane, we'd have to work with the way to extend it.
But I'm just, when you're coming off like 3D90 onto 24, that they're already at speeds at 60, 65 already, and now you're gonna increase more high-speed traffic, and then you're shortening that weave, it's gonna be problematic.
Yeah, you definitely have to, we'll have to look at that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that happened in a lot of the interchanges. Especially like in, I don't know, looking, you take the toll booths out and now.
Yeah,
going
it's right.
70 miles an hour and, we have issues at exit 26 where you really, people are coming off the throughway and then you have to turn your head 90 degrees or whatever to see somebody coming and it's awful high speeds. I don't think that was necessarily taken into account when they moved the tolls.
No, there's issues to
Yeah.
that, but we can't address everything.
any other comments for sure?
Just a quick question. I know on CRTC, they're doing the super load study. Are any of these bridges? Because this is all bridge preservation. Are any of those bridges for any part of that?
Super loads.
We'll have to figure out where that super load study leads if these are even in that area. Well, that's just it's getting off the ground now, so, yeah.
And has more to do with bridge clearances than capacity,
Yeah.
just to make sure tall loads can get underneath.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you, Cherry.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item 4, administration will first adoption of the previous meeting minutes from February 4th. Need a motion to approve,
I'll make a motion.
or
Second.
second Ken. Okay, thank you very much. Now moving on to the nominated subcommittee outcome. Oh, we got a vote. Oh, right. First meeting, everybody. I have
Okay.
first, second, all in favor.
Aye.
Thank you. I'll add that to my notes next time. All right, now moving on, nominated subcommittee outcomes. Same.
Yep, so just to review, if you didn't already know, at our policy board meeting back in March, we elected our new chair, Gary McCarthy from Mayor City of Schenectady. Frank Anacaro and Mike Arthur were reaffirmed as the vice chair and secretary respectively. The two town village representatives, Mayor Richard Strout from the village of Voorheesville and Mayor Michael Silk, I'm sorry, from the village of Castleton on Hudson. They'll be our town and village reps at the policy board level. And then I wanted to welcome Rob Leslie, who was appointed to be our town and village rep for the planning committee for this year. So welcome, Rob. Been bugging you for years to serve this role, so thank you for doing it. So yeah, that was just a quick update on the nominations and results. So thank you.
Do we need any motion for this or?
Just
Great.
everything.
All right, moving on to item 5, action items, transportation improvement program amendments, First Amendment, Town of Rotterdam, amendment number 1. Peter, or you like to go?
We're looking for additional funding ends here to get to in demand as well. If there's any questions anybody has, we have, this project's been around for quite a few years. We've been struggling to try to find additional funding. There was some concerns with the water line and the construction, so well, if anybody has any questions, but we're looking to change the funding source. And it's an additional,
The town's tried on numerous occasions to try to get funding for the water main, and we've never been successful, so. Luckily enough, I say luckily enough, but there's 75% of the water main's been impacted by the construction of the project, and that's where the additional funding is being requested.
So the funding source that we can use for the water main is
Larger.
large urban?
Yep.
Brendan.
No, this just helps get after, with various tip amendments, we've subscribed to different fund sources and, I think we've successfully utilized the CRP large urban. While the SDBG large urban, still had some balances, and this will help address that. We never like to leave money on the table, so, this just helps balance all the books.
The STVG was.
Surface Transportation Block Grant, okay, it's the,
The large urban, the distinction with the large urban is that sort of dedicated MPO money. So we at this table get to decide how those funds get used. It's one of the few fund sources that we kind of have complete control over here.
And the water line is in the way of the project, Fred?
75% of it is.
It's in direct conflict with the proposed drainage that needs to go in. We have to shift the roadway configuration and spacing based on adding sidewalk. And having a consistent sidewalk facility through the full project limit. So with that addition, because the water line is conveniently located. Right where the sidewalk and drainage would be, it means that 75% of the water line is in conflict, which is a problem for the town, and they attempted to get funding for a couple of years. And they're in a difficult spot of not having enough residents to sustain the increase in tax, but not making them a good candidate for other funding sources.
And the reality is, when you compact the pavement, subbase, rest of the water main will probably get damaged as a result of the project, so.
Yeah, I don't want to, I just want to make sure that we have a precedent set of when utilities come into urban work. So I just want to make sure it's a conflict. And we're drawing that and what the conflict is, because I know we have a lot of old cities, myself included, and I've always made a distinction of utility work is borne by the municipality. And I have no problem if no one else around the table has no problem. I just want to make sure that we don't move forward with some kind of a precedent that a road project also means complete utility replacement, because then our project costs are gonna go like pretty high. So that's all. I mean, we're doing Craig Street on the water main. We just dedicated $1.6 million to replace the water main before we do the street project. No conflicts though. It was just a preventative thing. So I just want to make sure I know that. I don't know if anyone from the city of Albany is here, actually.
Bill's on.
Bill's on, okay,
The 25% is not count is funding that. part.
okay, all right.
So yeah, that's the distinction. When the project is causing utility to be relocated, it can become a mitigation associated with the project cost, but the lion's share of highway infrastructure does not require the underground utility to move, so therefore it's not that's a distinction.
Yeah, I just make sure we all know the distinction.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
All right, great, second,
Second.
please, all right. All in favor? Thank you. Oh, and, okay, no one would be opposed or abstaining for that, correct? All right, next one, no one's gonna be opposed or abstaining to amendment number 2 either. City of Schenectady, Greg Wisher, you'll see amendment.
Yeah, this came in from DOT, even though it's a local project, because the tip amendments related to the DOT owned bridge that is getting rehabilitated as part of the project, and so DOT actually designed this portion of the Craig Street project. And of course, then we're also funding it because it's our bridge. And through just a learning curve of mixing state funds with federal funds, we are proposing to utilize the federal bridge preservation set aside to fund this bridge work, to just help make the project just function better from a funding and agreement side. So this amendment's to essentially reassign what was state funds for the bridge and utilize NHPP funding. And that way, we'll, again, let this, fully fund this project, but again, using the DOT set aside to fund just the bridge work. And then the rest of the funding for this project's shown. So really, it's a $4.3 million switch from state funds to NHPP. And like we said, drawing down that set aside. For this work.
And the reason that Greg is proposing this amendment, not myself as city of Schenectady, is because this is a state-owned bridge. It's a share of the project that the city of Schenectady had agreed to incorporate into our local project. So when Greg and the DOT received the bids and reviewed and went through, this was a recommendation that they made, so they're presenting it essentially on the city's behalf as their share. So, let me make a motion. Thank you. We have, Tom and Lee, sorry, and then, second, okay, all in favor? Any abstain or against? Hearing no, okay, we move forward to amendment number 3, Town of Glenville.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Tony Christian from Crane Manning speaking on behalf of the town of Glenville. So this current tip amendment, this accomplishes 2 things. One, it shifts funds from one pin 176159 to 176249. The reason being the town had a local project, it was a multi-use path project 176159 under design. And while that project was moving on to final design, the town also acquired TAP funds for a new project on the eastern side of the road. Also, at the same time, they also got money through the tip for a multi-use path project on the east side as well. And when those 2 projects, the 2 new additional fundings were acquired, part of that funding, the TAP funding, was thrown into an old pin, 176159, and the new STBG funds for the multi-use path on the east side was thrown into 176249. So what this tip amendment is looking to do is shift that TAP funding from a new project that was thrown in an old project and better align it all into one pin, 176249. So all the eastern side work is under that 176249 pin. Also, as part of that project, it was requested by DOT to repave Freeman's Bridge Road. So that's where the additional funds, the NHPP funds, are also being added into 176249. With the non-federal share to be picked up by DOT by the state. So no additional local funds are being added to the project. There's that CNCI funds for NHPP. That the non-federal share is going to be picked up by DOT on that one. That's it. Any questions?
Is the town gonna be responsible for the paving project? Is that gonna be bid as a town?
Same thing, that just like Craig Street, the town's bidding
Town's
all of
bid.
it as well as cohesive project. Which this makes sense, you know, it's one big project, but it takes care of our needs as well as theirs.
Okay. Can I have a motion? Motion. John, second. Peter?
He's not eligible to vote.
Oh,
Sorry.
Lisa.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All in,
Formalities.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or against? Thank you. All right, moving on to part B, public participation plan.
Yes, that is. So, at our meeting 2 months ago, you may recall that we introduced, some proposed updates to our public participation plan. And after the meeting, I learned that one of the, we had actually an error in our, summary in that it's actually in law that we have to do a 45-day public review on public participation plans as an MPO. So, so we took the opportunity over the last month or two to really just do a full update of the public participation plan. The big change, not really a big change, but some of the changes, we presented at the prior meeting. I will note this supersedes that action that was taken, back in February. The main thing we were trying to accomplish, aside from just aligning with current federal policy, is adjustments to the amendment public review requirements for different core products like the long range plan or the TIP. The TIP in particular, we wanted to pay attention to because increasingly we were getting situations where policy board action was needed with very quick turnaround times. And given our scheduling and all of that, we wanted to kind of make this reasonable, so we weren't necessarily delaying a project that was active. So the proposed minimum review periods for each document are listed in the column called minimum review period. Many of them have dropped down from what we had in the 2024 plan. The most significant reductions were related to TIP amendments. We aligned the other core document amendment or revision periods to 20 days or so, with the notable exceptions of the public participation plan, which was incorrectly noted as 25, it has to be 45, even revisions. And also the air quality conformity document has to be 30 days. So those are sort of the numeric changes on the amendment types. The rest of these items, for the most part, we reviewed at the last meeting, again, kind of updating our language to address some of the revoked executive orders related to environmental justice and LEP, limited English proficiency. We're not changing the spirit of what we're doing. We're just changing some of the verbiage. We also have removed references to our now inactive Equity Advisory Committee, updated the references to the long range plan, which is now in motion. We updated some quantitative metrics, which our staff are actually still going to be testing during the public review period to make sure that the metrics we're proposing are reasonable and can be captured with each planning study that we're doing. So that is subject to change, but we're feeling pretty comfortable with what we have as a high level set. We also removed the text of the limited English proficiency plan from the appendix of this document, and it's just in there by reference. Clarified and strengthened a lot of language in the document. And that's really it. So it is a full revision. You're welcome to review it on our website. For our public participation requirements, we'll have to have a little workshop, virtual workshop, probably an open house here sometime in the month of April. As I said, it's a 45-day review period, so this will require policy board action in June. So any questions about that?
Is this part of the larger document? So does it explain what TID, MTP, et cetera? is?
Yeah, this was just for your eyes in this room. We have an executive summary. The actual report has a glossary of terms, it has definitions, so it's a very public friendly
Yeah.
document.
Perfect. And we need a motion for this?
Yes.
One motion? Greg?
Second.
Mark?
Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to, oh, I'm sorry, all in favor? Any abstain or against? Get it right.
That's
All
all
right,
right.
moving on to air quality conformity update.
Yep, so this, sorry, check that. Yes, so. One of the things that's happening tied to the 787 initiative, as NISDOT is progressing the notice of intent to do an environmental impact statement, where I guess we would term where we are right now in the pre-EIS phase. As the project evolves, we intend to have to, well, not in time, we will have to amend our regional transportation plan to move the project from illustrative to fiscally constrained. Because the NOI puts the project in a different category of environmental review. In order to do that, we first have to amend and update our air quality conformity determination. This is a Clean Air Act related requirement that we have to do, that's tied to the whole environmental review process. So what's got to go out for public review, and we're going to tie the public participation plan public review with this public review as well. This basically just updates the code and really assigns a code for what is now a non-exempt project, because it's one of our only I think it is our only non-exempt projects for air quality in the region right now, and that just literally means we have to do an environmental impact statement for it. So because this is a very, I use the word bureaucratic, but it is a requirement under the Clean Air Act that we do this conformity determination. We have to do that in partnership with our friends in Glens Falls MPO, as well as the 3 rural counties, Greens, Schoharie, and Montgomery. So there's sort of a joint effort. I've already apologized to our partners that because of the scale of this particular project, this may happen more frequently as things evolve. So expect, not only MTP amendments potentially down the road. I know just from our friends in Syracuse with the I-81 project, there's a lot of constant tip amendments coming when that scale of project is going on. So just to prepare you as things evolve here, you may see more of these kinds of requests. But this is the first step in this calendar year of an approach to getting our MTP amended to, again, move the project from an illustrative to a fiscally constrained category. Does that about sum it up, Greg?
That covers it basically, yeah. Said we, we have to take this action early because of the coordination, we're target notice of intent is, I'd say less than a year from now, hopefully, so what our schedule is looking at, so given the timeline, we're looking to make this action so that this can all seamlessly flow, so we hope it does.
Open any questions you may have?
It's not an update that we report from 1987, say
87?
97.
Oh, this is just the designation year of the non-attainment area.
Okay, hearing no questions, we'll make a motion.
Lisa?
Second? Mike, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed or abstain? No, thank you. Okay, moving on to item 6, discussion items. A roadway departure safety action plan, a local call for projects. Andy.
Yep, so we previously discussed, we previously discussed the call for projects that's currently out for local projects for the roadway departure safety action plan. Applications are due April 17th. I know a few of you have been in contact with Carrie Ward here. Talk about the projects, your project proposals. I just want to share, because we didn't have this information at our available previously, what the estimates are for each county. Because we did have 2 awards in Rensselaer and Saratoga County last fall. But Albany County and Schenectady County did not have any applications. So right now, there's a little over 1.5 million available in Albany County. A little over 700,000 available in Schenectady County. Even with the Saratoga County project that was awarded, we still have a balance of about 16,000. And I know Rensselaer County is showing as a negative here, but that funding was actually drawn from the Region 1 pool, as I understand it. So the reason I'm showing this to you is, I highly encourage members in Albany and Schenectady County in particular to submit applications between our SS4A planning work that we just did, as well as the work of the roadway departure safety action plan that the state did. There's a lot of candidates already identified in these documents, so it should make the application process easier. I would also highly encourage any sponsor considering applying, even if you're in Rensselaer or Saratoga County, to put your hat in the ring, because I'm already hearing from my statewide partners that there's a lot of counties not applying for this funding. So there is the potential for the reallocation of funding across the state. So the more we can get on the table here in terms of candidates, the more likely we can work together to implement some of these plans. So I just wanted to make that pitch one more time. We're happy to make our staff available if you have any questions. All of the information is available on the NISDOT website. I know this is a long URL, but if you simply Google roadway departure safety action plan for NISDOT, you'll find it. I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, and also it's for local road safety plans as well. So just looking to put a plan together, there's funding available, and this is still 95.5, so.
Just to be clear, these are, I know it says that, but I just want to be clear, these are local roads, so they're not state.
Not state
Right,
roads.
so this is the municipality owned maintained road.
Yep.
This is what this is about.
Yeah, and Rob, just so you know, the Rensselaer County project was a Town of East Greenbush project last time, and Saratoga County was the sponsor for the project up there.
Okay.
So definitely county-owned roads, town-owned roads, city, and there's different types of roadway departure crashes and countermeasures. So there's a whole range of things. And like I said, the planning work that was done in our SS4A, Capital Region Vision Zero plan, as well as the work that NISDOT did in their plan, can probably set a good foundation for the kinds of roads that we're looking for.
Who's reviewing the applications?
So depending on how many, so we are, the MPO here, we're gonna be receiving your applications and we'll be looking at them with NISDOT. The eligibility review pretty much is done by the NISDOT staff, because there's just some subtleties and nuances with each application. Depending on how many we get, if we get flooded, we may have to establish, use our evaluation criteria to assist with that, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, as they say, no pun intended.
Albany will be applying.
Oh, great, good to hear.
Yeah, Sandy, if I may, but we worked with the town of East Greenbush on their planning application. There's quite a bit of effort involved with that. So I don't know if you haven't started yet, but I don't know if April 17th is coming pretty quickly.
Quick.
I don't know if there's an opportunity to extend that date. But something to think about.
We can ask, yeah, we can inquire on that.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sandy.
Sure.
Moving on, B, summary of the 2025-2030 HIP administrative modifications. Andrew?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Very little activity last month, just the one that we did. I do want to mention that the E-STIP system that we use to make administrative modifications and amendments, that was temporarily taken down while NISDOT migrates to new software. As far as I know, that new software isn't live yet, so we know there's a couple of admin mods in the queue that are waiting to go. We're gonna do those as soon as the new software is live and ready to use. The amendments that we took action on today are in the same boat. As soon as the ones that don't need policy board approval, as soon as the new system is online, we'll initiate those too. So if you have a pending tip action, we'll be in touch as soon as we put that onto a ballot in the new Eco Interactive system.
Great. All right, thank you, Andrew. Moving on, New York State DOT project delivery updates. Greg.
Yeah, it's been a busy month with spring bidding season of the paving program. It's a pretty robust paving program this year, so we've did the Saratoga County piece of I-87 from the Twin Bridges to exit 11. That came in at right about our end user's estimate at 18.7 million. The Albany piece from Western Avenue to the Twins also came in very close to the estimate at 22 million. Our annual multi-site work, one of the contracts also came in, again, getting good at estimating these, and that also came in close at around 15 million. Then on the bridge side of the house, we also did the preservation of the Congress Street Bridge. And that project did come in over the estimate at about 15.5 million to do the preservation on Route 2 over the Hudson. But being a Hudson River crossing, that we definitely feel that's a worthwhile investment to keep Hudson River crossing in pristine condition. So that's the capital projects updates, and a little more on the planning updates.
Okay, have you heard anything about state budget CHIPS funding letters, things like that?
I haven't yet. I know that I haven't seen the latest on the state budget, but last I heard, there was discussions of trying to consolidate the multiple CHIPS programs to, I hope, simplify it. But I'm not sure what the final result of that'll be. And the letters will always come after the budgets.
Yeah, no, I'm,
Yeah,
yeah, just cities, much like probably other municipalities, we wait to award until we have the letter, just to make sure. So when the weather turns like this, we start getting contractors wanting to start getting out, but we haven't issued a letter of award because we're waiting for the CHIPS letter. So that's just one of those things just to touch on. I don't know if everyone else is in that same predicament. All right, then D, status of regional transportation planning initiative. Sandy.
Yep, so the Half Moon Clifton Park County Route 109 study continues on, draft concepts are in development now. The Niskayuna Route 7 project has been completed, moving into implementation. The Boston Spa Traffic Calming Master Plan, REI should be out within, probably at some point for, advertisement in the month of April. The West Avenue study in Saratoga Springs is kicking off. Craig Manning was selected as the consultant there. For the awardees for the new UPWP, the new fiscal year that we're starting today, April 1st, happy April Fool's Day. Aiken Avenue in the city of Rensselaer, County Route 76, corridor study in Stillwater, and then we have an ADA project in the village of Scotia. So I'll be sending out the memorandum of understanding and administrative guidelines and award letters probably this week. So you should be seeing those if you're one of those sponsors, and we'll be able to get started on those in the next couple of months. We still have the technical assistance program open. We have a couple of projects that are underway. But again, if there's any needs out there, especially as we're heading into spring for data collection or anything in the field, please let us know. There's a whole range of activities in partnership with Mark's office, of course. Some are more technical in nature, some can be public involvement, some can be more sketch level. You know, it is a rolling, basically free program to you. So just let us know if there's any needs out there. I think that's where I'll stop.
Okay, terrific. Moving on to E, regional and local planning updates. Sandy, once again, Transportation Council.
Yeah, just quickly, on the capital programming side, if you didn't know, the final round of the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program was announced. The NOFA, or the Notice of Funding Opportunity, is available. There's $687 million available nationwide for implementation. Again, I mentioned this in the context of our recently completed Vision Zero Safety Action Plan. We put a lot of resources and time into that planning study to tee up projects to go after these funds. If sponsors and communities and members are interested, I'll be sending an email out to members today or tomorrow. If we'd like to kind of collaborate, and if there's interest among sponsors to collaborate on maybe a joint regional application, I'm pitching ideas here. It may be a good time to do it, given that, you know, we have identified a number of project types that would be eligible for this funding. The application deadline is May 26th, so we do have time, but not a ton of time. And it's probably intentionally a short turnaround time, but because we have the Vision Zero plan to draw upon, I really want to encourage sponsors to collaborate. So we'll send an email around anyone who is interested in and potentially collaborating on a joint regional application. We'll see how we can make that happen. So that's my primary thing. We are going to also try to work with NISTA on scheduling a sponsor tip kind of project meeting, if you will. We're looking at the first week in May. We're trying to figure out timing because of the timing of our planning committee meeting. So that will be another thing to look forward to. If there are any topics that tip sponsors would like to discuss, a good time to start thinking about those. Good, bad experiences, challenges, opportunities, all of that is welcome information. And it will be open to, you know, municipal staff as well as the consultants that are working on TIP projects. So you get more information on that. So.
Maybe the funding you mentioned, is that 100% federal funding? That's
Yes, that's 4A.
Yeah.
I believe it's no, it's not 100. I believe it's either 80-20 or 95-5. I'd have to double check.
What was the NOFA's name again?
It's this 2026 Safe Streets and Roads for All funding, and there's implementation funding, which I'm really trying to nudge. There's also planning funds, but that's how we funded the Zero plan. So I feel that since that's an adopted plan here, one of the criteria to go for the implementation funding is to have that adopted plan. So it's a really good opportunity for us to get some safety money brought to the region.
All right, thank you, Sandy. Moving on to CRPC, Mark.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have progressed in our application for our Timber for Transit regional suitability analysis. As a reminder, we're going to be looking at about 80 or so bridges for their suitability to be replaced by timber structures. I'd like to thank DOT Region 1, Greg Witcher, for committing to the match, and Anna Rizzo from Sand Lake for inspiring the idea with her application to that program previously. We did submit an application in partnership with the Transportation Council to conduct a regional housing and transit opportunity study. That would be for the 4 counties, taking a look at opportunities for those suitable for building out of affordable housing, focusing on low and moderate income populations. We will be releasing shortly an analysis that looks at pre and post-COVID transit ridership changes. This includes all modes of transit. So we have data from the airport, CDTA, and other folks to take a look at how things have changed, and things have definitely changed. So more to come on that. Sandy mentioned Tech Assist. We are currently working to stand up a project to assist Schenectady County update their hazard mitigation plan. And we are conceptually talking with Albany County about helping them with their upcoming comprehensive planning work. Our webinar series focusing on clean energy strategies is starting today. I don't know what time it is, but I saw people getting ready with technology in my office. As a reminder, the free Albany County Planning and Zoning Board workshop, which is sponsored by Transportation Council and us, is coming up in a couple weeks. I think it's on the 12th. And this is a separate project. We are in the process of developing a regional natural resource inventory platform, which will essentially provide every community in the region with a tool that will allow them to update or create a natural resource inventory for their municipality. The only thing that they will have to do is plug in some narrative stuff. So we hope it's gonna be a valuable tool for communities to use and more to come on.
Great, thank you, Mark. Moving on, CDTA, also for Mike. Mike,
Hi, everyone. This is Mike. Actually, no new business this month. Thank you.
all right, thank you, Mike. New York State DOT, Greg, again.
Yeah, really on the staffing front, there are a couple changes. Mark Saunders in Rensselaer County has retired, so his assistant Jack has been acting while we look to fill the resident engineer position for Rensselaer County, so. Let's go with Mark, be sure to deal with his assistant for the time being until a new replacement is announced. In the planning and program management realm, in DOT, someone retired who was basically the liaison of myself and all my counterparts across the state. And it was announced recently that he was officially replaced by Brandon Greco, who's been a longtime team member in that unit. So we welcome Brandon into the new role. And besides that, Sandy touched on the May 6th local projects meeting. We do need to discuss the timing with planning committee. But that's intended to be we're trying to we did it last year to reinvigorate the annual briefing of local project sponsors and consultants to discuss any issues of the year. And again, just try to help everyone navigate the local projects as efficiently as possible with education discussion. It's a half-day session, so stay tuned for more on that. And if you have any agenda items, reach out to Guy and company. Right, that's it for DOT.
Thank you, Greg. New York State Brewery Tour, Mike.
So just one quick announcement, we do have a comprehensive safety action plan out. You can go on to throughwaysafety.org. I believe you can also go on Sandy, your website also, correct? Leave a comment, we encourage you to, and I believe comments are due by June 6th or 2026. That's it.
Thank you. Albany County Airport Authority.
Good morning. So April 24th, we're looking at, that anybody that's flown out of the airport's probably seen that platform we've been using. So that's gonna start coming down on April 24th. And they're gonna open up about an equivalent area in the new area that's being built for queuing. So we'll start to feel like we're getting there. April 24th, knock on wood. The A concourse project we have is pretty much wrapped up, well ahead of schedule. So we got all 6 gates back and working there. We fly United, Allegiant. I think that's it in that area. And it looks beautiful. Anybody who's seen it, we get a lot of comments on it. And then other than that, we're just kind of getting ready for April break coming up, It's gonna be an interesting April, We set records last year and they're already higher this year, looking ahead, so. And I think last time I was here, I mentioned Southwest terminated our Las Vegas flight. Maybe 2 hours after the meeting, they called and reversed that decision, which in terms of network planning is very rare in general. So we got Las Vegas back in October. Yeah.
You know where Kim's going.
I got it. Jinx it. We'll be here 2 hours later.
Yeah, right.
All right, thank you. Albany Port District Commission, John.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Actually, we're working with CDRPC right now on an economic impact assessment for the port and its tenants. I think the last one we had was a little bit more than a decade old, so we're looking forward to that study. That should hopefully be out, I would say probably end of Q2, maybe beginning of Q3. We're also looking to get our foreign trade zone designation, and Kate over at Mark's team's helping us with that as well. That's probably more end of Q3. That'll help kind of make the port a little bit more competitive right now with the tariff market the way it is. There's some benefits to manufacturers when we have a designation as far as the foreign trade zone goes. And then come mid-May, I think it's May 19th, we're looking to host a maritime summit at the Capitol Center. More information will come out on that. It's a World Trade Month in May, so we're looking to kind of highlight the impact that the port has here in the capital region, and what ports do pretty much around the world, and the significance of them. So hopefully, get everybody's attendance there. That should be great. All right, that's about it.
Thank you, John. Local government, anyone on the table, anyone have any news to share?
I'll jump in with one final thing, and aside from Steve Feeney retiring, Andrew Kreshik from the city of Troy is also retiring. So we will be losing Andrew as a member of this committee as well. So lots of changes going on in the staffing at the local communities, so.
This is all in a plot to make the meeting shorter. I'm here, Andrew's gone. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's only 10:30. We used to go to lunch after these meetings, and now I don't know anymore. So, I have to have a brunch. Change.
That's a good idea to make the meetings more interesting.
There we go. It's not unheard of around the state for sure.
All right, thank you. Anyone else around the table? Okay, upcoming meetings, events and deadlines. So we have Active Transportation Committee Advisory Committee, April 8th at 9:30, Human Services Transportation Advisory Committee, May 4th at 2, and the next planning committee meeting is May 6th at 9:30. All right, if we have anything else, I have a motion to adjourn. John, second, Lisa, all in favor?
Aye.
Hopefully no one's opposed or abstained. Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.